morning, everyone. Today's the 29th of July. 29th of July, 2025, Tuesday morning. There's been a lot of talk down through the years about the rebuilding of the temple. Jesus said in John 2:19, Jesus answered and said to them, "Destroy this temple, and in 3 days I will raise it up." Of course, he was talking about his own body. You know, he prophesied the destruction of the temple. He said, "Not one stone will be left upon another." And that happened in 70 AD. That's why the wailing over there by the Wailing Wall in the temple is not part of the old temple, because Christ said not one stone would be left on another. It says he is the temple. He himself will be the temple. You know, man tries to replicate what Jesus Christ is. That's why the Antichrist is going to go in the temple and proclaim that he's God. There's been all of these temple organizations to rebuild the temple. And now I guess they found a place where they can rebuild the temple without doing it on the Holy Mount, where the Dome of the Rock is. And they want to reinstitute animal sacrifice, which is blasphemy. Jesus Christ is the perfect sacrifice. We've been reading through the book of Hebrews, and it says multiple times, not by the blood of bulls and goats, not by the blood of goats and calves, but he entered once in the holy place for us. Well, the veil of the temple was rent in twain from the top to the bottom. We no longer have to have a physical building, you know. Jesus Christ is our foundation. He's our building. Remember when he went into the temple and he cast out, he made a whip and drove out the money changers? That's basically what's going on in all these churches today. There's a lot of money changers out there. Mark 13:1, as he went out of the temple, one of his disciples saith to him, "Master, see what manner of stones and what buildings are here." Well, I'm glad we don't have to have a physical place to worship God. We're told that he that worshipeth God must worship him in spirit and in truth, not in a building. You know. Matthew 23:17, "Ye fool and blind, for whether is greater the gold or the temple that sanctifieth the gold?" All this hoopla about the rebuilding of the temple is really trying to replicate Christ himself. Christ is the temple. John 2:14, "And found in the temple those that sold oxen and sheep and doves, and the changers of money sitting." That's what we find today in these big edifices and these mega churches. You know, they're selling They're merchandise. They're making merchandise out of God. Well, Mark 14:58. We heard him say, I will destroy this temple that is made with hands, and within 3 days I will build another made without hands. Christ is a temple made without hands. I've always been amazed at when you go look on some of these videos in Europe, some of the huge edifices, millions of dollars spent on these huge cathedrals and churches. Luke 19:45, and when he went into the temple and began to cast out them that sold therein and them that bought. They mocked him about him saying he was going to destroy the temple while he was hanging on the cross. Matthew 27:40, saying that thou that destroyest the temple and buildest it in 3 days, save thyself if thou be the Son of God, come down from the cross. Well, all of these people out there that are, spending all this money and all this time and all of this effort to rebuild the temple and get the perfect red heifer. I guess they had a mock sacrifice of the perfect red heifer the other day, but they couldn't count as a true sacrifice because they found 2 black hairs on the red heifer, so it wasn't pure enough. There's no pure red heifer. It doesn't exist. The only pure sacrifice is Jesus Christ. Jesus Christ is the only pure sacrifice, and he's only the pure temple. And they can get all of these tools for the temple and all the artifacts for the temple and everything else, but it doesn't make it the temple of God. Psalm 11:4, the Lord is in his holy temple, the Lord's throne is in heaven. His eyelids try the children of men. That temple over there, they call it the Holy Land. It's not a holy land. It's full of idolatry, it's full of homosexuality, it's full of people denying Jesus Christ is the Messiah. They're still looking for their Messiah. That's why they're reinstituting this animal sacrifice and rebuilding the temple. Well, that's kind of what's on my mind this morning. There's a fake temple and there's the real temple. The genuine temple is Jesus Christ himself. 2 Thessalonians 2:4, who opposeth and exalteth himself above all that is called God or that is worshipped, so that he as God says in the temple of God, showing himself that he is God. Satan always tries to replicate the genuine Christ, doesn't he? He always tries to replicate it. John 2:15, when he had made a scourge of small cords, he drove them out of the temple, and the sheep and the oxen, and poured out the changers' money, and overthrew the tables. Even if they rebuild the temple, I've got news for them. That temple's going to be destroyed too. The only temple that's going to stand is Christ. You hear that? The people over there trying to rebuild the temple. The only temple that's going to stand is Christ. That temple, if you rebuild it, it's going to be destroyed, just like the whole earth is going to be destroyed. And there's going to come a new Jerusalem coming down out of heaven, prepared for his bride. Not some temple over there in Jerusalem. Well, I hope you all think on these things and realize that Satan is just trying to replicate the real thing, just like that Coke advertisement used to be. There's nothing like the real thing. Okay, and that's Christ. Revelation 3:12, he that overcometh I will make a pillar in the temple of my God, and he shall go no more out, and I will write upon them the name of my God and the name of the city of my God, which is the new Jerusalem, which cometh down out of heaven from my God, and I will write upon him my new name. Well, may the good Lord be with you today in a special way is my prayer, and let us not look for the rebuilding of a new temple. Let us realize that Jesus Christ is the temple.